Hi everyone, my name is Ray Maor and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're not a subscriber yet, I suggest you subscribe right now, and that's the way you're going to get new videos directly to your email, or go on my website raymaor.com and subscribe to my newsletter, and then you'll get, in addition to different videos, content that nobody else gets. So this video is going to be about when is it safe, or when should I exit the dry fast. And I'm going to take you to the different red flags that you should really consider exiting immediately. And I'll also teach you, in the end, how you're going to safely exit the dry fast. So let's begin. So, when you think about red flags in dry fasts, and this happens quite often, more often than most people would like to admit, is that first your ego or your spiritual ego has probably thought that you can do much more than your physical body is capable of doing. And our body is amazing, but our consciousness is even more amazing. In other words, when our consciousness decides something, the intention itself is so powerful that the body has to commit to it. In other words, we have much more control. I'll give you an example. Your body, your mind, always knows what time it is. Do you have that sensation that you wake up a few minutes before the alarm clock? And you know what I'm talking about. You know, you set your alarm clock to 7 o'clock in the morning, you wake up at 6:57, 6:58, or anything like that. And it happens a lot to a lot of us. Now, why? Because your body and your mind know exactly what time it is. And it also knows that you don't like the alarm clock, because your associated memory from waking up in a time that is unnatural for the body is a negative association. In other words, you have a negative experience with that. So your mind, which is brilliant, and your consciousness, which is amazing, wakes you up just a few minutes before that, just so you will say, "Oh, that's amazing. What a coincidence." Now, it means, and the reason why I'm telling you this, and I have a lot of other stories about crazy experiences with consciousness and mind over body or over matter, is that you should know that your intention is more powerful than anything. But when we set an intention of making an extended dry fast, sometimes the body will not give us the symptoms because we intend and our power of will is so strong. In other words, if you intended of doing 10 days, and these red flags that we're talking about, that I'm going to go with you over them, start appearing, you don't want to listen to them, because the spiritual ego says, "No, I can do it and everything is okay." But sometimes we go overboard, okay? We do too much. One of the red flags is a first-timer. In other words, a person that does not have the experience or the gradual experience of dry fasting and experiencing with different fasting types. Well, sometimes they jump into the deep water. And what actually happens is that, imagine that you have this like bag of toxins in your body. And now, instead of occasionally cleaning some of them, what you're doing is you're flushing them. So you can imagine like a very dirty apartment, you know, this like bachelor apartment, even a college party apartment type, completely trashed out. Everything is disorganized. Everything is a big mess. You know, on the floor you have this much, I don't know, this much sticky stuff from all the beer and the Coca-Cola and food and pizza plate and everywhere. Okay, imagine the cleaning lady coming in and trying to clean everything out at once. Okay, now just imagine her mopping, okay, and you will see that she has like this huge pile, but the mop just simply can't push everything out at once. It has to do it, you know, slowly and gradually. Take out the big pieces and then, you know, just clean out a little bit the corners, and then again trash those, and then only in the end, she'll be able to really polish the floor and really make it like completely. And for us, in our metaphor, that means that we have to gradually work our way up to a clean, pristine body. And we can do that, you know. The breatharian state makes you get there, but again, we do it gradual. The initiation is gradual. There's a week preparation of raw food, and then a gradual 1 day of fruits, 1 day of juice, 1 day of water, and then 4.5 or 5 days of dry fasting. And that's the ultimate. And when we are talking about the red flags, one of those red flags is doing it too quickly and too much. Now, like we said, the intention and the consciousness of the person can actually make it that the body will not make you feel like something's wrong. But you will understand that something is wrong if you listen to the body. In other words, if you put your intention on, wait a second, is this too much? Am I almost fainting? My blood pressure is too low. Why do I have to breathe so much? Or why do I feel my fingertips like something is wrong? Or why don't I see very well? I see foggy or cloudy or something like that. All of those are symptoms that maybe you went overboard. But you should also know what your body is capable of. Because I do know individuals that have went directly from meat eating to a 4-day dry fast. They do it in vision quests in the Indian tradition. Now Westerners are also doing that. So it's becoming quite popular to do 3 or 4-day fast, because that is also where science kind of tells us this is the point we're supposed to die. And we want to prove that we're not. So I would take you back to different videos that I made about a safe dry fast, and how long should I do my dry fast, and how much weight am I going to lose doing my dry fast and stuff like that. So the first real flag is all of those physical symptoms that tell us, okay, you've done enough for the first time or for your experience, let's stop for now. If you want something more mild, let's take it into the water fast, so we can exit the dry fast into a water fast. Or just start drinking a little bit of juice or something like that. Diluted juice also works. Don't go into the heavy stuff just yet. So, number one, the physical aspect. Second red flag is society. So that means our mothers, our partners, our friends, people that are around us, they see that we're doing it too much, and they start ridiculing the process itself, either making fun or becoming too worried. And if we are not spiritually awake enough, and we don't take responsibility for our own emotions, then we might start blaming them for making us feel in a certain way, and that will reduce our vibration, and that actually makes the process much, much harder. In other words, it's either that you mentally prepare and create the right environment for you, don't tell anybody about it, that's the second option. Or the third option is to tell them and share with them, but from a different perspective. In other words, make sure that they know that this thing has a limit, they know what the limit is, when you're going to stop, so everybody is not as concerned. Another tip or advice I can give you about that is simply tell people that you're going to go 1, 2, 3 days, and then you're going to, I don't know, have a blood test or go out or for a run or start eating again. Just make them comfortable, because most people, especially for us, people who are doing the breatharian initiations and stuff, because we stop eating for such a long time, people around us are very, very worried, and that affects us. And that creates doubt and fear, and that reduces the vibration or the energetic vibration that you are on, and that actually makes you want to eat again, because it's all about emotional eating. Flag number 3, weight loss, or too much of a weight loss. Of course, you understand that if you're already skinny and you're not exercising, so you don't have a lot of muscle and you don't have a lot of fat, you might lose some more water. Now, what you should know about this red flag specifically is that most of what you lose in a dry fast is approximately 1 liter of water a day. I know because I've been measured. As you know, in 2013, I participated in an experiment where I went 8 days without food and water, and every day they weighed me to check how much I lost, or how much I'm using. When you're talking, when you're verbalizing, you're losing about half a liter a day. Would you believe this? Like half of the water that we're losing a day, it's only because we're talking and we're breathing through the mouth. So we checked all those things out, and that is about the average. I am higher than the normal person, and maybe I talk more than the normal person, which is funny. I usually don't, just in these videos. But you should think about that as well. So if you're secluded somewhere, you're not going to lose as much water. If you're doing this for weight loss, then that's awesome. You don't even have to be warned about this, because you won't go there. But some people are doing this regularly, and what you should know is that you might lose additional weight. But the amazing thing is, because most of the weight that you lose is water weight, when you start drinking water again, it comes back really quickly. After the television experiment that you can watch on raymaor.com under, I think, the watch section or anything like that, maybe I'll put a link down here, I lost, I don't know, like 8-9 kilos, and it was all water weight. When I started drinking again, I drank 4 liters in the first day, and I immediately went up more than half of what I lost. So it's quite amazing. Now, the second thing is that you should know that if you are in it for the weight loss, dry fasting is the ultimate way. In other words, that liter that you're losing a day, the body is going to use it, and if it doesn't have water that is available immediately, it's going to break down fat. And you can see this on the biological level. It's quite interesting, like the molecules of fat and how they actually break down, because fat is like sort of stored water. It's really cool. And another interesting fact is that, did you know that we are born with the same amount of fat cells? So it's not additional fat cells, it's that each fat cell actually extends much more. So it's much more flexible. So our fat is actually a fat cell that is really, really prolonged, really, really long, or something like that. So, like we said, different red flags. Worry about, if you're worried about it too much because of society, if you lost too much, if you have different symptoms that you don't like you're too tired, blood pressure is too low, so when you're getting up you see all this black and stuff like that. All of those are warning signs that you should just stop and go into an easier type of fast. And that means that every week, 1 day a week at least, you do a dry fast or water fast in the beginning. You get into that habit of cleaning your body every time something smaller and smaller and smaller until it's pristine, until it's completely clean. Thank you very much for watching. And of course, you can go on my website, raymour.com, join the newsletter, check out my full workout schedule somewhere in the world. My name is Ray Maor. Namaste, my friends, and I will see you in my next video.